Banker Andy Dufresne is on trial for the murder of his wife and her lover, both of whom were found dead in a car. Despite Andy's protests of innocence, the circumstantial evidence is damning, and his emotionless demeanor doesn't help his case. He's sentenced to 2 life terms in Shawshank State Penitentiary, a notoriously harsh prison. On his first night, Andy witnesses the harsh realities of life at Shawshank. New inmates are subject to abuse, both from the guards and other prisoners, especially a brutal gang called the Sisters, led by a prisoner named Boggs. But Andy's quiet demeanor catches the attention of Ellis "Red" Redding, a lifer who runs a contraband smuggling operation in the prison. Red, who is known for being able to get almost anything, becomes Andy's key connection inside. Andy initially keeps to himself, enduring the brutal violence and abuse inflicted on him by the Sisters gang. The guards turn a blind eye, and even Red is uncertain how long Andy will last. But Andy's stoic resilience intrigues Red. In one key moment, Andy asks Red to procure him a rock hammer, a tool he claims will help him maintain his hobby of rock carving. Red is skeptical, but he agrees. Over time, Andy starts interacting more with the prisoners. He's assigned to work in the prison laundry, a difficult and demeaning job. Meanwhile, the Sisters continue to torment him, and Andy is frequently beaten. His life in Shawshank seems bleak, but there are moments of respite. He finds solace in his rock carving and begins collecting small, polished stones. A major turning point comes when Andy overhears Hadley, the brutal prison captain, complaining about a hefty inheritance he's about to receive, which will be heavily taxed. Andy seizes the opportunity and offers Hadley financial advice on how to shelter his money legally from the IRS by gifting it to his wife. In exchange, Andy asks for cold beers for his fellow inmates working on the rooftop. This seemingly small gesture earns Andy respect from the other prisoners, and it begins his new role as the prison's unofficial financial advisor. The guards and even the warden start to notice Andy's skills, and soon he's moved to work in the prison library. His work here leads to one of the film's most famous sequences. Andy begins a letter-writing campaign to secure funds and books for the library. Over time, he transforms it into the best prison library in the state. He even helps several inmates, including a close friend named Brooks, get their high school diplomas. As Andy gains more trust, he is roped into Warden Samuel Norton's shady financial dealings. Norton runs a scheme involving prison labor, where he uses the inmates for cheap labor and pockets the profits for himself. Andy is coerced into laundering the money through various fake accounts, all while Norton continues to uphold the image of a pious, Bible-quoting man. The warden's grip on the prison is ironclad, and Andy becomes trapped in his role as an unwilling accomplice in these illegal dealings. Meanwhile, Red and Andy's friendship deepens. Red remains cynical about the world, often telling Andy that hope is a dangerous thing in prison, but Andy refuses to give in to despair. In a heartwarming scene, Andy locks himself in the warden's office and plays an opera record over the prison's loudspeaker. The prisoners, mesmerized by the beauty of the music, are reminded for a brief moment of a world beyond Shawshank. Andy is punished with solitary confinement, but the act of defiance solidifies his standing among the inmates. Years pass, and Andy's reputation grows. Then a young prisoner named Tommy arrives, whose story changes everything. Tommy, a cocky but likable man, befriends Andy and Red. When Tommy learns about Andy's conviction, he reveals a shocking piece of information. Years earlier, Tommy met a cellmate at another prison who bragged about committing the very crime Andy was convicted of. The realization that Andy is innocent is like a bolt of lightning. Andy, hopeful that Tommy's testimony could lead to his exoneration, brings the information to Warden Norton. However, the warden refuses to help. Instead, he sees Andy as a valuable asset in his money laundering operation and is unwilling to lose him. In a ruthless move, the warden has Tommy killed under the guise of an escape attempt, crushing Andy's hope for release. After Tommy's death, Andy spirals into a deep depression. He withdraws from his friends and seems to lose his usual resilience. He speaks cryptically to Red about a place called Zihuatanejo, a small town in Mexico, where he dreams of living out the rest of his days. Red dismisses it as fantasy, warning Andy that hope can drive a man insane. But beneath Andy's quiet despair, he has been planning something all along. For 19 years, he has been secretly tunneling through the wall of his cell, using the rock hammer Red smuggled in for him so many years ago. He covers the hole with a poster that changes over the years, first of Rita Hayworth, then of Marilyn Monroe, and finally of Raquel Welch. In a brilliant, audacious move, Andy escapes from Shawshank through the tunnel and into the prison's sewage system. On a stormy night, he crawls through 500 yards of filth to freedom. The next morning, the prison guards discover Andy's empty cell, and the warden realizes he's been outwitted. Andy sends evidence of the warden's corruption to a local newspaper, leading to Norton's downfall. Facing inevitable arrest, the warden takes his own life. After his escape, Andy withdraws all the laundered money from the bank accounts he set up and vanishes. He leaves behind a letter for Red, hidden under a specific tree in a hayfield, a place he once told Red about during their conversations in prison. In the film's final act, Red, now a free man after years of parole hearings, follows Andy's instructions. He finds the letter, which contains money and a request to join Andy in Zihuatanejo. Red, who spent years denying the power of hope, finally embraces it. In the film's emotional climax, Red travels to Mexico, where he is reunited with Andy on a sun-drenched beach, fulfilling their shared dream of freedom. The Shawshank Redemption is a tale of friendship, perseverance, and the unyielding power of hope. Even in the darkest of places, Andy Dufresne's quiet determination and belief in a better future allowed him to triumph over a corrupt system. His story serves as a powerful reminder that hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.